how Redux works, right? Like still we did not have a code box. Like, we did not set up a store. We did not created anything. Just we discussed how it works, right? And also what is pending is so we used like we learned use reducer also yesterday. Last. Okay. So we discussed use reducer also, right? Mm, I'll show that. So this one, creating a use reducer. So I'll create a new project and I will show you how you will integrate Redux into your project. Okay, today. And like we'll discuss. So there are some performance optimization hooks pending. This now itself you do not need these two hooks like use memo, use callback. I will tell you afterwards. Mm, but now we'll learn how to integrate Redux. Since we learned all the hooks, right? Use state, use effect, any of the hooks apart from use memo and use callback. Do you have any doubts? Anyone? We'll also discuss once again all the hooks on one day. Currently, these two hooks like use memo and use callback are not completed. Apart from that, we discussed all the hooks: use state, use effect, use context, use reducer, use ref. All the hooks we discussed, right? Anyone having doubts in that? Yes, no, hello, no. Okay, okay. So I'll create a new project and I will integrate Redux into that new project and I will show you how you will work with Redux. Okay. So like all the concepts, right? Like let me create notes or something like that. I will also give some questions like I don't think I have right now. I have some interview questions already. Okay. Mm, This is previously when I taught all the hooks and other. Uh, just a minute. Just a minute, guys. Yeah. Okay. So these are the questions. Okay, like you have to understand all these interview questions. You try to see these questions. Let me know, like, if you have any doubts in these questions. These are like 25 questions I have. We can add more. Um, I previously created this most frequently asked interview questions in React. Okay, I'll share this document with you, and and that's all. This document I'll share you. Okay. So we let us see, like, let us go even before jumping into Redux. Let's see, like, so what are hooks in React? Uh, so we'll try to answer all these questions. What are hooks in React? Like, we all know, right? So hooks are functions that will hook into React features. So by using hooks, you will React features like state management, side effects. So we have like how many hooks we have? Like we have use state, use effect, all those hooks, right? So we'll use hooks in functional components. And this is also important question. As of now, we did not discuss. So they'll ask like in the interview, what is the difference between a use callback and use memo? Okay. So I'll tell you this one. So you know the difference between use state and use effect, right? Already. So what is use state? So you will add the state to your functional component, that is use state. What is use effect? So to handle the life cycle methods of the component. So use effect is a hook, right? So you also need to explain the syntax of use effect, like what argument it takes, like how it works. Okay. Like use effect is a hook which takes two arguments. One is the anonymous function, and the second argument is a dependency array, right? So you have to explain in that in such a way. So also try to try to how to say, like try to search these questions in chat gpt. It will give a clear definition and write some notes on it and prepare well, like if you have some interviews outside or something like that. But as of now, these are the very important concepts that in mostly asked interview questions. Okay. So why I'm giving you this is because I attended many interviews. So apart from this, they will not ask any other questions. And for mostly like experienced candidates, they might ask related what happened behind the scenes of React. But mostly, the if you answer all these questions, it will be easy for you all. Okay, so that you will also, instead of learning concept by concept, there is a question based learning. Okay, like if you have this question, okay, how do I answer this question, right? So why we use reducer if we already have use state? Yesterday I told you, right? If the state is very complex and you wanted to manage that, then you use reducer. I'll also give one more example of use reducer. Yesterday we did a um, like small example only, that is handling the counter only. But this state is there, right? This initial state. So we'll write some complex state here and we will do the example. Okay, we'll perform the exercise. Use reducer, just to understand the use reducer, like how dispatch works. And so that's why I told you all this. But this is a simple example. Okay, you have to do some complex examples by using use reducer. Okay, why we use? Because we have the complex state, right? So that's why this one. So custom hooks. So this one also I did not tell you. There is also, like, once you learn this use callback and use memo, so you have to um, also learn how to share the logic between components. So you'll share the logic, okay, share the code. you will not duplicate. Okay. So this one also pending, like we don't know, right? So context API, everyone knows context API, right? So what is context API? Context API means like instead of avoiding prop delivery, you will use context API for basic functionalities like user getting like storing the user information in the context, team settings, language settings, authentication related like executions in the beginning of the app. So all this you will do it by using context API, right? And you will provide the context, you will consume the context. So we have a hook called use context also to get the information from the context, right? So this is that. And what is the purpose of keys in React? So this one I told you, like we have to give the key in while we iterate. Like let's, I think I told this example too. Um, First we have right, like the UI, and here we have giving this key. Why we are giving this key? What is the significance of giving this? Okay, so why we give this key? So because this is no use for us. Why we give is um, for the React to understand how many items are there in this. And for example, if we add more complex logic like to remove the item.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Ram.
Can you- Hello, hello.
Hello.
Now can you hear me?
Ram, voice is not clear, Ram. Hello.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, Ram. Now is okay.
Okay.
Yes, Ram.
So so what I am explaining last when you lost me, which one I am explaining here? This keys or
Yeah, keys, Ram.
okay. So what is the purpose of giving keys in React? Okay. Like here in the project, and what I'm telling is, so why we give keys, like we provide keys for the React to understand. For example, if we have other operations, currently we are only mapping the list here, right? But we have other operations like we add an item from into the list and remove item from the list or update any item, right? So what item should be updated, what item should be deleted. So for that purpose, React needs to handle it in a very optimized way. So we provide these keys for React to understand, okay, to update a component or to manage the items very quickly. Okay, so that's why we should give key. If you do not give key, you will get an error. So that is related to keys. And what is React? At a very basic question. Okay, so React is a front-end UI library. Like we will uh, develop user interfaces by using this library, and it is component based, right? So I'll explain more. Like it's how declarative approach. Like there is two approaches. Okay, declarative and imperative. So I'll tell you about that later. And what is a component? Component is a building block of React application. Like you will combine the state, logic, and everything in the UI into a component. And what is state? State is an object where you like it is and inside the component, right? Every component will have its own state, and it is a changing variable, right? And what are props? Props is also an object, but you use it to pass the information from parent component to child component, and props are read only. You need not to change the props. And pure component, this one I did not explain you. This is also I'll explain when what is pure component. Okay, you don't know what is pure component, so I'll explain when we learn this optimization techniques. So pure component is also comes under that optimization only. So when to stop component to re-render unnecessarily, so all those things we'll discuss here. And what is higher order component? So this is not that important, but someone will ask. So this is not that important, let's skip this. And how do you optimize performance in a React application? This is also important question. So this one also you will learn when I tell you this performance optimization techniques in the React application. So this one is also pending. You already know the difference between class and function components, right? So I need not to tell this again. So we use class and function to create components in React. And what is the difference between state versus props? You learned state and you learned props, right? So same thing. So props means you'll pass from parent to child, and state will enclosed inside the component itself, and every component will have its own state. If you like difference between use effect and use reducer, this will mostly not ask in a combination, but you have to understand what is use effect and what is use reducer. And what is the difference between use effect and use layout effect? So we also don't learn this. This is not asked very like very rarely they will ask this question. So you need not to learn use layout effect as of now. So let's skip this also. And this one, what is the difference between virtual DOM, real DOM, shadow DOM? Okay, so shadow DOM you need not to understand now, but our React will use the virtual DOM. Okay, so you need to understand how this virtual DOM concept works. So real DOM means the very basic HTML DOM, document object model. Okay, DOM means. So this one also important question. How can you prevent re-renders in React? So this one also like they'll ask. So this one also comes under performance optimization. And what is a synthetic event? Currently, like at the beginning times, this question asked to me. Currently, they are not asking this synthetic event. I don't think this is asked now, but this is also important only. What is synthetic event? So I'll explain you this synthetic event. And explain the difference between React's controlled and uncontrolled components. So I told you, right? uh, Controlled and uncontrolled components, like okay, Naresh, what is that? Any types of keys? What is that? So for keys, you will provide either index or ID. Okay. So here
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
you can only provide like, so this whatever the value that you provide, right? It should be unique. Unique. That means it should not duplicate. You should not give. Let's say here in the post you get IDs, right? 1, 2, and 3. Those IDs should not be duplicated. So you should give unique values. Or else, if you don't have IDs in the payload or in the information, you just take a second argument as index, and you, instead of providing that ID, you provide that index. That index means the array index. So this index will not never be duplicated, but ideally you should give this ID only, post.id. And if you feel that this is a number, right, mostly try to give a string value. Okay. So this, for example, sometimes this ID will not come as a string. So like if you have a post, right, let's say we have a post, ID will be number or string, right, like this. But if you get the ID as a string, you can directly write post.id. But if you get like number, like you just try to convert this to a string, like this to string method. You use to string method. This method will convert this ID to the number to a string. So most ideally you have to give a string value instead of number. Okay. Even you give number also, it will work, but the best practice is to provide the string for this value key. Okay. And controlled and uncontrolled components, I told you, like this comes in form handling. So we will create a form, right? So when we have the form, so if you use ref to handle the form, right? So then it is called uncontrolled components. So uncontrolled means you directly map UI element to a ref. Okay. So here you give reference. So you are not handling, you are not controlling the state, or you are not controlling the form by using the state. Here I am not using any state, right? But here, like somewhere I did that with the state, right? So this is called controlled component. So when we use the state to handle the form, then that is controlled. If you do not handle the form by using the state, then what is that? That is uncontrolled. If you use references, then it is uncontrolled. If you use state, then it is controlled. And life cycle methods of a component, I already told this. Like use like we also in class method, class components, will use component did mount, did update, will unmount, all those. And in function components, we use a single hook called use effect. So this hook will answer all the life cycle methods, like component did update, component did mount, component will unmount. So all this updating, mounting, unmounting stages, right? We have component life cycles, right? And we'll learn Redux architecture, and then we'll go for Redux Thunk also. Redux Thunk is a middleware. So I did not explain middlewares, right? Middleware also is like mostly they'll not ask for junior developers, but for advanced people, like how you will handle asynchronous operations in Redux. So you have to use this Redux Thunk middleware. So I think we covered most of them, right? We like already discussed a lot of them. Only like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 to 6 items are still pending, though we have a lot of time to discuss. Okay, is this helpful for you? Like if I provide a questions like this, like at least I will
Yes.
do
Yes, Ram.
50 questions. At least we'll perform like 50 questions. Then it will be very helpful for you to understand the React. So I attended like almost like many interviews. Okay, every day I used to take like 3 to 4 interviews. Even I was in job, I will attend few interviews. If I get a chance, I'll attend the interview, so that even though they like I wanted to see, just I attended few interviews just to see what questions they are asking. Okay, I already have a job, but I attended lot of interviews just to see what questions they are asking. Okay, so I consolidated and added this list. I created this list. Still, there are some questions missing. I understand, but mostly these questions will ask in the React interviews. So we also need to understand the difference between state and ref. Okay, so please remind me in the next classes. We also need to learn the difference between state and ref. Okay, so when component re-renders, right, state will change, but when component re-renders, so this I have to understand, guys. Okay, I also don't have clarity. This refs change or don't change, I have to see. So refs will be preserved. Okay. Mm, and here are some rules of hooks. Okay, so I already told some rules of hooks, like hooks should be only called only on the top level of the function, right? So naming conventions for custom hooks, so this we did not discuss custom hooks, so not needed. So we can use hooks inside hooks. So when we create a custom hook, we can use hooks inside that hooks. We can use state. For example, we create a custom hook, use something, and so that hook inside that we can use our custom. We can use state, use effect, all those hooks, and we cannot use hooks in class components. Okay, and this the difference between actually this is very small thing. You can easily get it. Use memo and use callback, right? Both are used. Hooks are for performance optimization, and use memo is to memorize the value. Use callback is to memorize the function reference. Okay, so this why we are so if you understand these two lines, then it will be helpful for you. I'll also explain with the examples about this hooks. So you will cache some value, you will preserve some value. Okay, so what is that? You store a value or you store a function. So the difference is there here. That's all. So this is not related to not related to React, but uh, some interviews will ask what is event delegation, event bubbling, event pooling, event capturing. So this kind of confusing things. So I noted here every event related concept. Some of them are JavaScript concepts and some of them are React concepts. So, but I just listed out because it was very confusing, because some people will ask what is event delegation, what is event capturing, what is event pooling, what is event bubbling. So all this, and this is helpful, right? So I'll share this all this document with you, and we'll add more questions in this. So recently I haven't attended any interviews, but we'll add more questions, and also we will do some examples, how like some questions will be asked in the interviews, right? So those also will do it. Okay, so we have more half an hour time. I'll just create a new project, and we will we will we will create a new project, and we will integrate Redux into that project. Okay, it's very simple. Okay, previously we have Redux only, like we don't have this toolkit. Okay, so previously we only have Redux. So they introduced Redux toolkit. For Redux, you have to write a lot of boilerplate code. So that's why they introduced this toolkit, Redux toolkit. You need not to add a lot of code changes or boilerplate code. Everything comes built in. Okay, so this is very simple. You if you use Redux toolkit. But let me create a new project. Let's learn Redux basic, something like that. Okay. Mm, I'll create a new project now again.
What is that command? Wheat npm. We have to create a wheat project. Okay. This. Okay. So I'll create a wheat project here. Let's name this project as Redux Basics. It will take some time. Just bear with me. So, what do you think? Are we going too fast, or how? Like anyone? What do you all think? Are we going too fast in discussing Redux now itself? Because we still not completed all the React concepts, but we are jumping into Redux, right? Is it complex for you to understand all this Redux? Can someone answer to my question? We have like almost 15 people, but no one is answering. It's very boring, no? Like if we uh, here like this, should be interactive session, guys. It's nothing like I am telling you are listening, right? Should be fun, okay? Don't afraid of all these concepts, okay? If you organize the concepts and learn, then it will be very easy. See, I just throw you, I just throw like 25 questions at your face, then don't be afraid of that. If not today, when you will, right? So I already coming in a step-by-step manner. I told you all the things like how we'll do API integrations, right? I told all the basics of React already, and you just need to practice for this. Like you have to practice the state management, how you are handling the state inside the application. So you will be not knowing like where to write what code, right? So here, if you see what I am writing, brought from line number here 50 to here. So all this is JavaScript code. I'm not using any HTML or CSS, something like this, right? This is called business logic. Inside the component, you will directly write business logic, and in the return statement, you will write JSX. Okay. So don't be afraid of all this code, looking at this code. It's very simple. You need not to write anything outside, like outside. You should write everything inside of this function component. So, okay. So I'm opening this application. So how you will install the packages? You do you know? You just use npm, right? Npm tool to install the packages. So currently, what dependencies we have? Dependencies or packages, everything is same. React and React DOM, right? We don't have Redux toolkit, right? So I will so we have to install. So here package.json will have all the list of dependencies or packages that you have. So now here when I install it, when I install this package.json file will get updated, like that Redux toolkit, whatever we are going to install, this one npm install Redux toolkit, right? So this one, if I install here, I'll just close this. So here I'll write npm install and @redux.js/toolkit. Same command that is there here. The same command I will write here in the terminal. Just you write like this. So then what happens? You see that Redux.js toolkit, this package.json is already updated, and that package is installed. Okay. So what happened now? You install this. So Redux.js is, you can use this with anything, but we need to install something called React Redux. Okay. This will connect Redux with our React app. So this one also you need to install React-Redux. So now you see I got React Redux also. So you need these two packages, Redux.js toolkit and React Redux. Okay. So let us do the same component, like same counter example. Yesterday we did for use reducer, right? But for doing, even before doing that, let's create a store. Okay. So we have listed some points, right? Yesterday, create a store and provide the store, right? So how you will create a store? So I have this packages, Redux toolkit and React Redux. Now I can easily create a store. So in the source folder, you just create a new file called store.js, like this. You create a store. Okay. So in the Redux documentation itself, you will have all the code. If you get started, see, I install React this toolkit. So if you have toolkit, you need not to install the Redux separately. This is Redux core. Okay. So we are not going to deal with the core. So quick start, where is that? Okay, we installed Redux toolkit and React Redux, right? So it is helpful for you to install Redux DevTools extension also. So I already guess I have like Redux DevTools. If you type like this, you will get a plugin. Okay, so I already added. So it is asking here like remove from Chrome. But I already added. So this is very helpful for you to see the state of the application, state tree you can see, and how the state is changing you can see. So you will get a plugin. So if you install that Redux store, then you will see. Okay. So what else? We also installed the React Redux, right? So now, do we have any question? Quick start is there, right? Okay. So this quick start document will give you all the information. Like, so here you install this, and so how you will create a store? You will use this configure store function from the Redux toolkit library. Okay. So I'll type it for you. So like you import that configure. So you can also do like this. So just write like this from Redux toolkit. So inside this, you search for configure store. So now you got this configure store, right? Configure store. Able to hear me, guys? Everyone? Because you are very silent.
Yes, Ram.
Okay, it's not clear for Pooja. It's not clear.
It is clear, but sometimes your voice is breaking.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You should tell me, no. I'll switch to my mobile. Hello?
Yeah, yes, Ram.
Able to hear me now?
Yes,
Clear?
yes.
Okay.
Now is
It is clear.
yeah, now is clear, Ram.
Okay. Okay, I'll share again. Okay. So we what we did till now, we just installed that packages, right? Nothing fancy we did. We just install these two packages, ReactJS toolkit and React Redux. And how to create a store? So you'll use this configure store function. So here you just um, like you create you call this function. Okay, you call this function and you pass an object. Like I imported that function already. So you create a store. Let's take like this, like store is equal to configure. You already have this configure store. You just call this. So for this you have to provide an options object. Okay, let this be empty now, but you understood, right? We have this store, right? So now export this store. So you'll use you export default this store. That's it. Like this, you created a store here and you call this configure store by calling the configure store. So in this store you will pass red users, like as here it says red user, right? So here you will pass red users like this. So that's it. So there is something called slice. Okay, what is slice? Slice means all our Redux related logic will be present in the file. Previously we used to write multiple files for action separate files, or for reducer separate files, right? But now everything is combined into one single slice. Like this we will write slice file. Okay, slice means a piece of Redux store. So a piece. Okay, slice means a piece, like pizza slice is there, right? So in the same fashion we'll have slice. So we'll create a slice, counter slice like this, and we'll try to like mimic that same thing, like the counter example. So before slice, so we have the store already created. Just by with these lines we created our store, right? So we have to provide this store. The second point that I told you yesterday is here you created a store. That's it, simple. And now you have to provide the store. These lines will create a store for you, right? Now you have to provide that store in the top level. Like you can also provide here, or also you can provide in the app file. So now I don't want to provide here. Okay, so just I'll just maintain this like this, h1 redux basics, right? And I'll just provide here in the top level. We don't need strict mode. Okay, so just I'll provide that store here. So how will you provide the store? Again you will use this provider component from React Redux library. We install the second library, right? React Redux. So from that you import this provider and you provide the store file that already created. This one you are exporting right here. So this one, so what I will do, I will import provider from React Redux provider. Okay, so now this provider we will provide our entire app. Okay, like we provide the state to our entire app, the store whatever. So for this provider you write one prop called store and you provide the store, this file here exported, right? Default export. So you import this store, sorry, not here, in the main jx. So you import this store from the store. Okay, so from the which file we have dot slash store. Okay, this store file import, you have to import the store. JS is also not required. Now you just write that store here. That's, you provide the store. That's it. This is providing. You provide the store at the top level of our app. So now this store is available everywhere in the app. Okay. So let us quickly create a slice now. So even before creating a slice, we'll write a counter example here. Same thing. Let me log out. Okay, slice. So even before creating a slice, let's create the same. We have the already that UI is there, but again I am typing like we need to increment and decrement, right? But we don't want to use all this state and everything. We'll just use um, that uh, we'll just use that like the counter example, same thing. Okay, so do we have that counter and everything? We don't have, right? But still I will write some static code now. So we have this heading we'll write. So here I will show that counter value, and we'll have two buttons for increment and decrement. Okay, we don't have functionality, but I'm just writing the UI as of now. Button, so increment and decrement. Okay, so now when I run this app, right? When I run this app and open this app, we got this Redux basics app, right? So we have the store and everything, but I'm getting one error. Nothing. Okay. So here when I install that extension, right? So I'll get this Redux state, Redux extension tool. Okay. This one I will get. So here you can see all the state. Now, do we have any state? No, right? We don't have the state here. So nothing is there. We just created the store here in the store file. This should have at least one reducer. Okay. So we provided the store in the main file here, and we have the UI now. So now when um, I click this button, I have to dispatch action, I have to change the state. So now we'll create one slice called counter slice. Okay, I'm creating one new file called counter slice.js, like this. So now I will use that like how create slice method. Okay, so in Redux we'll have how we will create slice. So you have this method called create slice method. So for this method I have to provide a big object. Okay, so I'll tell you everything about this. So just now how we will create slices, you understand. Okay, so you import create slice from Redux Redux toolkit. Like this, you provide, you create a you import that create slice, and now you create slice. Just call this you just call this function and you pass some object to it, and you just name it as counter slice. Counter slice is equal to, like this. You just store it in a variable, and you can export here. You write exports here. I'll also tell how you will write exports. But now what you will pass here for this slice, you need to pass a name. Here you see he is passing a name called counter. So same fashion will pass a name called counter, and you have to pass initial state. So do we have initial state? No, right? So you pass initial state like this, initial state, and let's take count to 0. Okay, so we don't have reducers. So next one is we will add few reducers, all the functions like increment, decrement. Yesterday we wrote, right? Same thing. So you write one more thing called reducers. So here every inside that you will write functions. So you will write, like you write a key of function name, and you write some anonymous function like this, like this. This is one function. Increment, for increment, decrement also we'll write one more like this. So now we have increment and functions, but how we'll change the state? So for every function you will get the current state. Okay, this is reducer, guys. Okay, yesterday I told you like how we will write, like what we need to remember for the reducer, right? So I'll again show you. Yesterday I told you that I will show it again. So where is that reducer example where we do counter? Here, see, reducer function will have this state and action as an argument, right? So same thing here also you can use state and action like this. You will get the access to current state. Okay. So now what you will do? What is there in the state? Count variable, right? So here you just write like this. You can state dot count plus 1. You will write like this. State dot count plus is equals to 1 or plus 1. So you can write like state dot count is equal to, like this you can write. You can directly mutate the state here. Okay, this looks like you are directly mutating the state, but yesterday I told you don't mutate the state like this with a equal sign, right? But internally Redux will have some internal library called immer, so that will change this to you will not understand now, but just try to understand this syntax. Just we are changing the state, okay, and doing nothing fancy here. So the same thing, like state dot, so instead of state dot count is equal to state dot count plus 1, you can directly write plus is equals to 1 like this. So this will add 1 to the count variable. For decrement, state dot count minus is equals to 1. So this will decrement by 1. So now you have all this, right? So you have reducer, name, initial state, everything. Now you export actions. So these actions are important. You have to export all the actions. So and you have to export the reducer itself. Okay. So these two imports, the two things you need to understand how you will export. So all the actions you will have now here, increment and decrement, right? So is equal to, you already created this counter slice, right? So counter slice dot actions, you just call like this. This will export all this, like export all this increment and decrement. So all the reducer function names you mention here and export these actions. How you will export the reducer? So you just export default same, that counter slice dot reducer, like this you export the reducer. So this is done. Now you created a slice, right? So now you can use this reducer. So I'll tell you, like you use this reducer. So what is this counter? So just call it as whatever the name you want. You call and so you're already exporting the reducer here, right? So here what you will do, you will import that is default reducer, right? So counter, you call whatever name you want, reducer from uh, from what is that file? Slice, right? Counter slice dot slash counter slice, like this you write. So now here, how you will write the reducer? So like this, you write counter and counter reducer. That's it. Okay. So here you write counter and you pass this counter reducer like this, counter reducer. So now you have to provide all the reducers here. If how many slices you will create, all the slices related reducers, you export reducers in every slice, right? So if you have some other functionality like user slice, authentication slice, so you'll create for everything, you will create slice. So you export reducer and that reducer you have to come declare in this store. So once you declare, right, now you will see uh, now you will see the state here in the state. Now we have this state here. This is Redux. Okay. Okay. So now you see how the state is there in the Redux. So this is Redux dev tools. Okay. So you see here. So this is state. This is state tree. So you can also see the state. Okay. So this is state. Now we'll manage this count variable here. We'll change this. So this is understood, right? Everyone understood this until now what we did. Everyone understood until now what we did. We just step by step I am telling you. We install the packages React, Redux and Redux toolkit, right? And what we did, we created a store, and next we in the main.jsx file we provided that store, right? So main.jsx we provided that store and we created a store here in the store.js. Next what we did, we created a slice. So you have to give all this information, name, initial state, reducers, functions you have to write, and you export. So once you do all this, you declare that counter reducer here. Whatever the reducer that you export, you declare here. So with this, now you created a store and you also have an object inside the store. Okay. So how so I want this counter value is 0, right? So now if I change the initial state here, okay, let us take initial state as 2. Now you see in the inside the Redux store, this the value is changing, right? Now I want this 2 here in the UI. How I will get? So currently in the UI it is hard coded, right? Here it is hard coded, right? I want this 2 value initial state inside the in the UI. How can I get it? I already told you how to read the state. How to read the state. How to read the state from the store. So we'll use selector here. So from the store you want some information, you use selector. So you have something called use selector hook. Okay, use selector. This one you will import from use React Redux. So you just call this selector, and what you will pass an function. So that function will return the state. Okay. So this you already have, you just give an argument state. So now state dot counter. Okay, state dot counter. Let us see, like counter is equal to like this. So state, you will get complete access to the state. How is the state? How is the state? You have this, right? State. This is state. This complete thing is state. State dot this complete object is state. Okay. State dot counter dot count will give you this value, right? So here state dot counter dot count. So now you just write like this, count. Now instead of this, just write like count. That's it. So now if you see here, this whatever the value inside the store, You can see in the UI, right? Now you're reading this state. If I change initial state in the slice, if I change this state like this, you see the state is getting updated and the UI is also getting updated. You're reading from the state. Are we maintaining any state logic like use state or something? We're just using this selector hook to get the state information and we are mapping to the UI. But how you'll update? So whenever I click, I need to dispatch these actions, increment, decrement, right? So what I'll do, so I'll have one more thing called use dispatch hook like this. So you have to call this use, this hook will give you that dispatch variable. So you just use dispatch, you just call this use dispatch. Now you have this dispatch. So whenever I click, right, on click, whenever I click increment button, I'll use this dispatch argument, this variable. I'll just dispatch. What I will dispatch? That increment action. So here we are exporting this action right here, all the actions. So you just call this function increment. That's it. If you have some payload, then you provide like this, but now we don't have any payload. That's okay. So we just increment, we call the increment, and the same thing for a decrement. What you will do, you will import that decrement action, and on click you dispatch that decrement action. That's it. So now, okay, you are getting error. What is that error? Okay. Not able to see errors. Why? Okay. Did we do something wrong? Okay, so you have to give anonymous function or something like this. Yes, like this. Okay, it's good. So now what is the initial state? It is 3, right? But why it is showing 5? Okay, it is 3. So let's see the Redux store here. Okay, so you have state here, state, right? So now when I increment, one action is being created here. You see, you can see counter/increment. So when I decrement is not working. I'm getting error. These errors I'm not able to see. Why? Am I doing something wrong? Okay, here. Okay, state is not defined. Counter slice. Okay, decrement here I'm not passing the state. Okay, that's why that is error. Okay, so here when I increment, let us see the store. See how many times I increment, that many times that action is being triggered. Okay, you can see this action here. When I decrement, that decrement action is being dispatched. So when you decrement, right, so you can also see how that state is changing. See, when I increment, see the 3, we are changing the state from 3 to 4. So 4 to 5. Now when I, you see, 4 to 5. So whenever I dispatch an action, so now what is the state? 3, right? So when you dispatch an action, you see the difference. 3 is changed to 4. So in this way, we are changing the state. So you have this state. So you can create how many slices you want, you can create. Everyone clear with this logic? You can get the logic from this quick start Redux. I'll share this link to you. You can see all the logic. So we are doing the same thing. I think this introduction is good for you, right? Okay. Any questions here? I have other calls, 2 calls back to back. So if you want, I'll also explain tomorrow also. But just visit that quick start of that Redux. So why this is useful? Because you will have the entire state outside of your application and the code is very clean. Okay. So you will have separate logic, state logic for outside of, you will have in separate file, this global state. If you create a new slice, then it will add a new, so if you want, like, let's do like copy this. Let's say we have a user slice or something like that. Okay. User slice dot js. So you just paste it. You change this counter slice to user slice, like create user, update user, all those things you create user, update user, delete user, all those uh, functions you write here. Okay. And you perform the operation here in the reducer. So here I'll just write create user. So I'm just dispatching this one action, create user, but you can do more. So this here you can store user information, uh, like username or something. Okay. So now you just dispatch this user slice action and user slice reducer, right? So now just you give this reducer in the store, user and user reducer. So import that from the user reducer from what file, user slice, right? So nothing, like you just created a slice and you add this logic here afterwards, but you have this slice, right? User slice. So now how you will, if you give it to store, right, this reducer, now you will have the user information in the like here. What happened? Something is wrong. Let's reload. Getting undefined. Why? Yeah, you see, we have the user also now added in the state. Now you how like you write reducer logic to update the state and everything. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, you see the state now that user state is added, user added to this state. So this is entire JInt object, guys. Okay, you will add how many reducers you add, that many states you will add here. So you can update the state, you can change like where you can, whenever you create, you can create a user, you can update the user and everything in the user slice. Okay. Yeah, that's all, guys. Today it's enough. We had a lot of discussion on Redux. Um, but please feel free to ask questions. Okay, no one is asking questions. No one is showing proactiveness here.
Ram, actually, I have one small doubt.
Okay.
Can you please move to the code? In
Okay.
addition, okay, that addition operator and increment operator and decrement operator is there no? In 11th line.
Uh,
No,
uh,
is, it is working after equal to also it is working or not?
no. First you have to give plus and then equal to only.
Okay.
Yeah. So how you will write like this? For example, you have count, right? Count
Yeah.
is equal to count plus one. Like this you will have. So you
Mm-hmm.
are right. You have two times the same variable, right? So
Yeah.
instead of two times the same variable, you can write count plus is equal to or minus is equal to one. First you have to add and then assign.
Okay.
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 So
Okay.
first you have to add and then assign the value to that. That's it. So instead of,
Okay.
this is a shorthand syntax for this one.
Okay. Okay. Ram.
Yeah. Anything else?
Hello,
Anyone?
Ram.
Yeah. Yes, Sushmita.
Yes, we can create any number of slices, right?
Any number of. Let me show you. my code I will show you. I will show one. This is the project that I was currently working on. Okay. So this is a mobile project, but same thing I'm using Redux in this for every feature. Okay. So I have a lot of features here, app features. So here I have for every feature I have separate folder called slices. So here I'll add slice. Okay, this is daily log slice. You see how much big the slice is, how many operations I am doing in the slice. Here, if you see, I have the reducers. I'll show the expense slice. So this is expense slice. So this is using with TypeScript and slices. Whatever I am telling you, that is very basic example. But you see here how much code that is there for a single slice. So here I am performing all the create, update, expense, create expense, remove expense, right? You see, I'm fetching expenses. So I'm also making API calls here, API.get. So any number of slices you can write. You can write any number of slices. Got it?
Okay, after writing slices, we need to put
Export
there in
this.
the store. What?
Yes, export the reducer. Mainly this reducer is needed for the store. You have to declare that reducer in the store. And these actions, you will dispatch these actions from the UI. You have to export the actions to use in the dispatching file. So wherever the UI you dispatch, so you when you click you dispatch, right? So at that time you dispatch like this. So not only when you click, you can also dispatch actions from the logic itself. I'll show you. Maybe I might not get, but you can also dispatch the actions in the use effect, like use effect also. Yeah, that is too much in depth, but you understood the concept, right? Like you have to create a slice and export the reducer and declare it in the store, and export the actions to be used in the place where we will dispatch actions. So here you have two hooks, use selector and use dispatch. These hooks you will use to get the state information, and you dispatch an action. So based on this action increment, you are calling this increment action. Based on this action, this function will get executed, and this function is responsible to change the state. That's it. Okay, anything else?
No, it's clear.
Anyone? Just type that everything, whatever I typed, right? So the same thing you code so that you will understand clearly. By observing, you will everything will be clear, but you have to code, because again, if you not code, then you will forget. Okay? Yeah. Okay, then thank you guys. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye.